Good morning. Today is Sunday. It is the 21st of March. It is a Sunday. I'm normally out on Saturday, and that didn't really work out yesterday. I was planning to go into New York to a new place, and one of the roads on the way there was closed, and I didn't really know an alternative route there, so that will be an object of research for the near future. Today we are at Local Vigilance, and we're going to have a look around again. Again, it's been quiet, so we're going to look for sign and maybe find some wildlife and see what goes on. But yeah, today's video is going to be a little bit not planned, only because yesterday's plan didn't work out. These things happen. So we're going to get going and see what we find. Thanks. So we're back. We're working our way back from the high meadow. I'm going to kind of work around down along, I don't know if you call it a ridge line, but the hillside, and have a look for tracks and the like. So far, we're still in that pattern in March where you have the patches of snow in the shade that refuse to die. Case in point, right over in there. There was another one back there. Off in the distance as well. So it's come to my attention that a new project has begun called Squatchapedia 2.0, and I'm not going to name names because that enters into pettiness, but it basically is an attempt to chronicle all things in the Bigfoot community, and the effort in doing this is fundamentally flawed because inherently you're going to have bias in the way this is presented. And I know the person who is behind the project, and I already know and I already see bias in the situation. Some of their observations are accurate, some are biased. So, a couple of examples. He postulates that NESRA, the Northeastern Sasquatch Research Association, is no longer active. I know they haven't been active during the COVID time. I also know that several of them have had some life events occur that are keeping them from researching, so that is probably true. But then he goes on to speculate that the claws photo that was paraded around in 2013 has never been disproven. Yes, it has. By and large, it is a promotional photo for a bad rated B sci-fi theater movie known as Claws. And essentially this is what it is. But because this individual is closely aligned with the person who peddled this in a rather shady affair back then, they're going to say that because that is the biased version of opinion. So this is where, deer pellets, this is where this kind of a situation is fundamentally flawed. And I'm sure there's others. Now, he points out another person has probably actively retired from the community. I know the individual has, in fact, done that, so that is accurate. But inherently, when you run into a circumstance where the bias is there, it negates the validity of the observer's offerings in the way of information. Now, my intent here is not to take a big steamy dump on this person's project, but it segues into what is basically wrong with the community. And the problem with the community is something that's been around forever, and that is, it is a popularity contest. And it is fueled by social climbing to some degree. And I'm sorry if this comes off as negative, but for the newer people out there, it will save you grief to know this. Guess we're going to do some snow walking. So, what I mean by this, one example would be conferences where you'll have a local group and they put on their conference and they'll get a couple of big time, known names in the community, Jeff Meldrum or Dr. Sykes or Dr. Dissatel, somebody like that. Or a big name, Bigfooter, one of the staff or the crew members from Finding Bigfoot, or, I don't know, we'll throw out a random name like Lyle Blackburn, if you know him. Dude with a goatee and a fairly cool cowboy hat that he wears most of the time. It's kind of his trademark thing, I guess. But, oh my God, I gotta clean this. Anyway, but at the same time, then they'll basically piggyback all their guys that nobody's heard of, and the illusion created is all these guys are on the same tier as somebody like Blackburn or Meldrum or somebody like this, and that is not the case. But once people know each other like that, it establishes the whole social climbing dynamic. I guess we're going down the hill the hard way. Which is kind of a negative and almost parasitic thing if done incorrectly. Again, I'm not going to name names because you can apply it to too many people. But the people that are big and well known now are people that got there by doing exactly the same social climbing exercise back in the day. That's what a lot of people don't realize. And, then you have these people like, I don't know if celebrity is the right word, but these people that are bigger names in the community. And nobody's able to show you the monkey, so nobody's found the monkey. So if somebody's out there claiming, Matt Moneymaker, that I've been doing this for 25 years and you don't have any monkey to show for your efforts, you still have more looking to do. This is not mean. This is not meant to be insulting. This is basically just hard and fast fact, unfortunately. There's really no other way around it. That's just how it is. I'm obviously not on the path that I thought I was. We're gonna maybe down there. I'm gonna cut across here. Obviously, the area I'm walking through has been logged, and that's why I have to be a little more careful so I don't stumble down the leavings here. Although it is like a little thinned out, so it's easier to see. But anyway, just a little bit of a rant that every now and then needs to be repeated, because there are those out there that love and adore, the Finding Bigfoot crew, and some of them are actual researchers, but they have taken on the life of TV personas at this point. So it is what it is. For the people that are on like Expedition Bigfoot. Expedition Bigfoot is a TV show. It does not depict real research. The first episode, or the first season, was basically completely constructed. They were basically acting on a dude ranch, and You really can't beat your way around that. They basically were doing that. Easiest way down there. Still think it's this way. So, you know, this is where this kind of contrived stuff. I've been approached by people. I'm as part of a, not because I'm a celebrity, I don't consider myself one, but as part of a, ow, son of a bitch and wet butt. I'm not going to cut that out because that's some of the shit that happens when you're doing this. That sucked though. All right, so yes, you just learned you can slip on dry leaves. Anyway, we're more or less down the hill. I'm just trying to hook up with where the logging trail is. But contrived things like this are not research, and kind of spills over into a side subject where people are always disappointed in the inevitable quality of a Bigfoot show, and people lose sight of the fact that TV shows are not made for Bigfooters. They're made for a wider audience, and what they're after is ratings, not your approval. So, like it or not, that's the reality of that. Incidentally, as to where I'm walking, I'm basically over where the drone flew over in the intro. If I can work my way through this deadfall that the loggers have left, I'm moving in the opposite direction from where I want to go, but I have to work my way through this stuff to get to where I'm trying to get to. I prefer not to go back uphill, having already slipped in now that I have a wet ass. Reason being is the ground is wet because of morning dew and or snow and or mud. So anywho, that is the unfortunate truth of Bigfooting television, is that it's made for ratings, not for Bigfooting approval or for accuracy in research. Now, the fact that they had a LiDAR-equipped drone in the first season was pretty cool. I mean, everybody would love to have a toy like that, but if you have one of those, you probably have a lot more disposable income than I do, because that would probably cost upwards of, that's got to cost upwards of like $12,000, $15,000 to get all the components of that together. The drone itself, being that big, would probably be, you know, north of $1,500. LiDAR, I know a quality FLIR will run you some pretty change, so LiDAR is probably no less expensive. So, is this the trail? We'll know shortly. But, more deer pellets. And along with that comes, with the social climbing and all that, you get the newbies with a sense, more deer pellets, with a sense of entitlement where they want to be spoon-fed to get started, not realizing that a lot of us basically had to find our own way in the course of doing this. And this is the trail, good. That's the reality of it. They, you know, they want to be spoon-fed, and the fact is, you're going to learn more if you actually kind of like figure things out on your own. I'm not to mention, I've been personally wronged by too many people in the community to be overly trusting with somebody who's going to, down the road, get a big head on their shoulders and turn into an asshole. It's happened too many times. Not everybody's guilty of this. I can think of a few who are not guilty of this, but once people hook up with a known name or something, they tend to get a bigger and get a swelled head. And I know a couple of people, and again, I'm not going to name names because some of the people I'm referring to indirectly are people who are retired from the community. The person I'm thinking of, I guess they had a soul-searching moment at one point, didn't like what they saw, and decided just to give up Bigfooting because they found it to be toxic. I actually get that. And for the record, I wish that person well in their new direction that they're pointing their life in. I haven't abandoned the subject, but I founded my own, I'm not going to call it a group because I don't really feel like it is. It's more like a network of people that I can interact with and share research with. But I've kind of pulled away from doing work with a group because with groups come politics. And life is too short for the politics of this. I've never understood how a community based around a subject that is held to basically be fringe by the mainstream of society can be so contentiously competitive amongst its adherents when the fact is nobody has shared a body, a living specimen, or anything even remotely close, myself included. But I'm not one to make crazy claims. That being said, I don't know why, but I feel the need to get a shot of that, so bear with me a second. I am going to take a slight break. Yeah, I guess we're recording again. I kicked it off inadvertently. Anyway, back to my rant. The groups that I've been in, and I'm not going to mention their names, I'm going to keep this politic free, but one group, I just did not like the direction the person in question was taking it. And despite claims made by them, I left of my own accord and basically resigned, and I have the email from them proving it, even though they've since claimed that I was removed by their choice. It was not their choice, it was mine. And every bit of that choice has been justified since, given their actions of the 2012-2013 time frame. I was removed from the SRI a while back, and I can honestly say they're the only group in the course of the time that did not do me wrong. We just had non-aligned philosophies towards the subject and how to go about things and that kind of thing. I don't actually hold them any animosity at this point. If anything, I probably owe them an apology for past bickerings. But the AIBR removed me for questioning whether a certain individual was a hoaxer. In retrospect, they probably were just guilty of a boneheaded practical joke, but still in poor judgment. But regardless, the point behind that one that I disagree with is you removed somebody from the group rather than take a look within and see if you actually had a hoaxer in your membership, which is something you should care about. And I look back and I don't miss that particular group because that is, again, that's a misaligned sense of priorities that I would personally not be comfortable with. Had they not removed me, I probably would have left over that. Incidentally, I was not the only person to raise the question of whether this person had committed a hoax or not, number one. But number two, I was the only one that got removed. I'm not whining about that, but it was not handled on an even level, which goes back to the popularity contest that is the community. The other person was more of a social climber mindset and had made friends with certain higher-ups in this group, and therefore was not removed. The hoaxer was not removed, if you want to call him a hoaxer. Hoaxer, prankster, whatever, he was not removed. And then we come round robin to the group I was with the longest, and that was Nezra. I left them of my own accord, but the sad story there is they did some, I'm not going to get into the whole petty tit for tat there, but basically they did some things that in the end showed a lack of appreciation for all the tedious background work I had done for them for, I don't know, 10 years. And when it became obvious they didn't really care about that much, it was time to go and reevaluate where you are with the subject. I had my own soul-searching moment to decide where I was going to go with the subject, and that's when I left them and founded my own group and figured going forward that's the way I'm going to conduct things. I'm not going to wish ill upon them because I don't think they're a viable group anymore. Through some things they did, some things they haven't done, but some things just fate and the hand that life dealt them. Kind of a sad story overall, but that's how that happened. But I would have liked to have left a little more. What the hell am I doing here? I wanted that facing forward, sorry. Hopefully I'll be able to edit that. But I would have liked to have had things end a little more graciously and a little bit more gradually for a smooth transition for them as well as myself. But they chose to do things differently and more rapidly, so unfortunately that is how that happened. But the point is, I have pretty much come into contact with politics in every group that I have been a member of over time. And therefore, I deal with groups at arm's length at this point and deal more with like-minded individuals with whom I can have productive research. It's just a better way to conduct things. So that's my little rant for the day. And getting back to where I was going to go yesterday, I have to research an alternative route there because it's a little bit too dependent the way I was going to get there. And the reason I had to turn back is I probably could have found my way there, but there was all this detouring stuff. And I don't know the area that well. And I didn't really feel like wasting my afternoon trying to find my way back to the interstate by all these little back roads that would be in my way. So we will revisit that. But the reason I'm branching out a little bit is this area is obviously quiet and not really that active this year. So in the next couple of weeks, I will be heading north into the Green Mountains and possibly New Hampshire again. And I'm just waiting for the snowpack up there to kind of give up the ghost a little bit. And I am going to be heading back into New York to revisit the area that I was going to hit yesterday. And areas nearby as well. But today, I'm just basically getting out to maybe close the loop here for a bit. Although I probably will be through in warmer weather from time to time just to keep, they call it the local vigilance area, to maintain the vigilance, obviously. So, but as of right now, I'm gonna wrap things up here, and I guess today's video is basically a rant on some things with the community that kind of require the reminder that the community is not the subject. It is an animal all its own, and can be a fairly negative one, unfortunately. So for noobs that are coming into the subject, it's something to bear in mind rather. So to wrap up, a quiet day out here walking along this trail. You got to see me fall on my butt.